man. It ain't Miller time.
A witness who's seen too much.
Congratulations. You're about to testify against one of New York's worst. You're going to ruin the lives of 6 cops.
They have 2 hours to go 16 blocks.
There's about a ton of cops between me and you, and they all want this kid dead.
You are not going to make it. Bruce Willis, Mos Def, David Morse. Please stop. 16 blocks. A film by Richard Donner, rated PG-13.
Trailer kind of gives you an indication of what the plot is. You have Bruce Willis as an aging New York police detective, and this should be his last assignment before a well-deserved retirement, and the job is simple: to take this transport, played by Mos Def, all the way to the New York State Supreme Court building 16 blocks from the police department until it wasn't. Now Jack and Eddie are on the run from a group of corrupt cops, one of them led by David Morse, who will do anything in their power to stop them from reaching the Supreme Court. It's a race against time that may cost Jack everything he's devoted his job to. It's one of those movies that's shot in real time, and this is produced by a company that also did 88 Minutes, which is another movie that was produced in real time. However, unlike 88 Minutes, where the concept was pretty good, but the movie was not great, the concept here is really good, and I think this movie is really well done. I think it's definitely one of Richard Donner's more underrated movies. Not just one of his underrated movies, but, you know, Bruce Willis, Mos Def. This is a movie that doesn't really get talked about all that much, but it's a really good movie, man. I really like this film a lot. I actually saw this in theaters back when it came out, and I really liked it a lot. I think Bruce Willis gives a very solid performance in here. Mos Def, I think, really is the star of the whole movie. Like, he really elevates himself to another level to really give this movie that character that you want to root for, because like he's a guy that is stuck in the middle of the situation here, and you want to get behind these two guys in general. But David Morse plays a very good villain in here too, kind of the corrupt cop here, and there's just so much intensity. There's so much amazing stuff going on here. You know, the film overall is very well done. It is a very flawed film too. There are moments where the plot doesn't really go as far as you think it could possibly go, but it does its job well enough to, I think that what I would say that it is most definitely a very, very underrated film. It also helps that you have a really good writer in Richard Wenk, who has written a lot of movies I've actually liked. He did The Expendables 2, which I think is probably my favorite of the Expendables movies. All the Equalizer movies with Denzel Washington, which I think are really good. The Magnificent Seven, which I think is a really good film. Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff I've really liked in general. And this is another one of those movies where I think it's just really... It's just a well done film. It's a film that keeps you on the edge of your seat, and it really keeps you invested in what's going on. I like it a lot. I highly recommend it. Criminally underrated movie, 16 blocks. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is not that good, but it's here. So let's talk about Milla Jovovich in Ultraviolet.
Hello, my name is Violet. I was born into a world you may not understand. The government lab discovered a virus to create faster and stronger soldiers. We became a threat.
I want them hunted down and killed.
Those of us that survived extinction started fighting back. Come and get it.
Ultraviolet, rated PG-13, in theaters March 3rd.
Would that trailer have given you any indication this movie was about vampires? Sort of. I mean, it's essentially another Equilibrium, because in this movie, Milla Jovovich is a woman who's infected with a fictional vampire-like disease and lives in a future dystopia where anyone infected with the contagious disease is immediately sentenced to death. But with the help of advanced martial arts skills, a group of rebel hemophages, and a boy named Six whose blood may contain a cure for the disease, Violet goes on a mission to overthrow the futuristic governor and defeat Ferdinand Daxus. I mean, quite literally, everything about this movie is so similar to Equilibrium. And Equilibrium was a bad movie. At least I thought it was a bad movie. So, let's take that same director and put him with the most overrated action star of all time, Milla Jovovich, which, I'm sorry, I hate this woman's acting. She might be a sweet person in real life, but I'm sorry, this woman sucks at being an action heroine. I mean, every time I see her in one of these Resident Evil movies or a movie like this movie in particular, like, she never comes off as a threatening person whatsoever. Like, she never comes off as somebody who's like, take me like, she comes off as a person that's just thinks she's threatening, and then when she actually gets in your face, she's just like, take me seriously, like Like, I can never take her seriously whenever she's in these movies or the Resident Evil movies, and this is the pure definition of why she should never be taken seriously as a threatening person in any way, shape, or form. Like, whether she's the hero or the bad guy, because, good lord, she's terrible in this movie. Like, I've not seen her in one movie that I've seen her, that I remember that I actually like her in. Like, she barely got by in The Fifth Element, but other than that, everything I've seen her in has just been absolutely horrible. Nothing against the actress herself. She's probably a nice person in real life, but I'm sorry. When it comes to movies like this is just not her crack cup of tea. At least, again, my opinion. I am very, very limited in that category, but, yeah, she does not add to anything in this movie in general. It doesn't help that the movie itself is just, like I said, a ripoff of Equilibrium. Like, it literally takes note for note everything that Equilibrium has, except change it around. So it doesn't. It's like when you know when your best friend's copying your homework in high school, and it's just like, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, sure. Just go ahead and change some things around so it doesn't look like you cheated or anything. Like, that's what this movie feels like. That's what this movie is like, because they literally take so many beats by Equilibrium in this movie that it's just hard not to see those things, and it's just like it's just not a good movie either. Like, visually, it's really it's too stylistic to look at in a bad way too. Like, these aren't even impressive looking visuals that could save the film in general, but these are just bad looking visuals in general here. It feels like you're watching a PS2 game blown up for the big screen. Like, this is a bad movie. This is a really, really bad movie. I don't think I need to say too much more about it. Like, everything that could go wrong with this movie went wrong, and yeah, it's a movie that has been largely forgotten, thank God. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's not a good movie. It's a terrible movie. Avoid it like the plague. So that is Ultraviolet. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is another ripoff of something you might be familiar with. See if you can spot the two similarities by looking at this trailer, a little bit of the trailer for Aquamarine.
Do you realize we've got 5 days to talk your mom out of moving halfway around the world? I haven't kissed Raymond yet, so I'm not going anywhere. Hi, Raymond. Incoming. Cecilia's back from camp. Did you order a sandwich?
For two best friends who needed a miracle.
I'm sorry, sweetheart, that we're still moving. How about we start packing the room?
So how about I live here with Claire till I'm 18?
Something magical
Had the ocean washed up in there last night.
is about to happen.
Mermaid. How did you get in here? I use these. I have to find love. We don't have it where I'm from. The only way I can get out of my wedding is if I can prove to my dad that love exists. I only get 3 days or 1 month. With him. Raymond.
Hi Splash, hi Little Mermaid. I mean, this is literally the live-action Little Mermaid remake of what, almost 20 years before we actually got the actual live-action Little Mermaid remake. But in this story, you have a dreary Florida beach resort village where luscious-limbed lifeguard Raymond is the main attraction for the girls. Teenage buddies Claire and Haley, played by JoJo and Emma Roberts, become experts on him by observation, but never dare actually approach him. So they're basically just stalking him, pretty much. And after this closing summer season will be separated by one's parents moving to Australia, they then find a storm washed up as a sassy mermaid, played by Sarah Paxton, in a swimming pool, who promises them a wish if they help her prove to Neptune that love exists. And Raymond is the only creature resembling a love god. So yeah, it's literally taking a lot of elements from Splash and the Little Mermaid. I mean, I don't even want to say it's a bad movie per se. It's a movie not made for me. I realize that. I mean, I'll give a credit. The 3 actresses, Sarah Paxton, JoJo, Emma Roberts, they're perfectly fine in the movie. They play their parts very well here. Everyone's playing their parts to a T. Unfortunately, there's just nothing really that engaging or fun or entertaining about it to really give them anything to make this movie stand out. Like, you want to know what the one thing this movie stands out for? This image from the movie that you would swear looks like the beginning of a porno movie, a lesbian porno movie. Take a look at this. Like, I mean, this is an image that's been out there for years now, and you would never think that this little image here would come from a movie clearly made for teenage girls. But no, this looks like a scene that's literally the start of a lesbian porno movie, or a porno where, you know, the two girls are asking, or start looking at this guy and just like, you know, you want to join us or something like that. It's just like, that's what this image looks like here. That's the one thing I remember from this movie, and that's not even something that's not even what the movie's intentions were. And that wasn't even something that I realized until later on down the road, that this image right here came from this movie. And it's just like, it's hard not to look at this movie and see that image, except for anything that's not what you think that image is supposedly going for here. It's just like, I may have been just rambling there, but you get the idea here. If that's the most memorable thing I could say about this movie, then this movie really does not have anything of worthiness to it, except for the performances. The 3 performances, I think, are fine, but the script overall just isn't worth it in the end. But like I said, this is a movie that's not made for me. This is clearly made for a teenage audience, and teenagers really did grow up with this movie, and most of them have grown up to say that, hey, you know, this was one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time. So what am I going to say to that? It's just like, I don't know. Me personally, it just didn't work for me. But then again, it wasn't made for me back then. It wasn't made for me back then. It certainly wasn't made for me now, and it's just, it is what it is. It's not even that it's a bad movie. It's very harmless, but you do think that you do want it to be a little bit more original or something a little bit different, so it's not compared to the far superior mermaid movies that we've gotten since then. But yeah, there's nothing really of value to this film whatsoever, unfortunately. So yeah, to me, it didn't work for me, but for its target audience, it'll work just fine for them. So yeah, that's Aquamarine. So let's go ahead and get to probably my overall favorite movie of the week in general here, and that is Michel Gondry's Dave Chappelle's Block Party. You know, back when Dave Chappelle was actually one of the most likable people in Hollywood, and was coming off of a big controversy at the time, but not the kind of controversy that he would have nowadays. So we'll delve into that in just a second here. But the story here is that Dave Chappelle is presenting a Brooklyn neighborhood with its very own once-in-a-lifetime free block party. In addition to Chappelle, the roster of artists include Kanye West, Mos Def, Common, Dead Prez, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, The Roots, Big Daddy Kane, and reunited for the first time in over 7 years, the Fugees. You know, it includes private rehearsal footage in Chappelle in the small Ohio town he calls home, where he wanders through town handing out golden tickets to invite several dozen citizens to join the party, providing transportation and lodging for their visit to Brooklyn. Ohio Central State University Marching Band makes the trip and kicks off the festivities at the intersection of Quincy and Downing Streets. It's a diverse crowd, and Chappelle's freestyle wit guides them and us through a celebration of music and comedy, history, and community. Now, keep in mind, this movie was filmed in the summer of 2004, and this was around the time when, you know, Dave Chappelle signed that big contract with Comedy Central to do 2 more seasons of Chappelle's Show, where he got $50 million. And of course, the following year, there was a big thing during the production of the show where Chappelle walked away from his show and kind of went away for a little bit. Like, he really went away for a while. Like, around the time this movie came out, nobody really knew if he was going to come back to the show or not. And then they eventually aired the sketches that were going to air for the supposed 3rd season without Chappelle there. And Chappelle also did a stand-up special, which I think also came out maybe around the same time the 2nd season came out. I think they filmed it around the same time they did this movie, actually, too. Excuse me. But, yeah, this is a very interesting film to look at when you put that into perspective here, because this was just around the time when, you know, this was when Chappelle, you know, this was before he walked away from his hit show, and just how popular he had really become at that point. He was really becoming one of those rising comedic stars, and we thought it was going to be the next big thing, which he was for a good chunk of time here. But of course, in recent years, he's had controversies that have very much alienated his audience in general here. But no matter how you look at him nowadays, the guy is still very funny. If you look back at his older stuff, like, his older stuff is still really, really funny. I can still watch Chappelle's Show and get a ton of laughs from all the stuff that happens in that show. And it's just really, really, really funny stuff in general here. And you get a nice mix of comedy with a lot of really good performances from a lot of really talented people in here. There's a lot of really good musical names in here. John Legend is also in here, too. I forgot to mention him. I mean, it's a concert that really, it'd be fun to actually have attended this, to see what this whole thing would have been like in front of me. And yeah, it's a really impressive film in general here, and it helps that you have a director like Michel Gondry, who has such a unique style of filmmaking to him that he can make movies like this feel engaging and feel groundbreaking in general to make something really entertaining in the long form. It's a really good movie, man. I highly recommend it. It's definitely a film that's worth checking out on a number of different levels for the performances by the stars, seeing Chappelle doing what he does best. I mean, this is a really good film. I really recommend this film a lot. Definitely check it out. Dave Chappelle's Block Party.
Look how peaceful he is. Wow. Man's man. Oh, there's that squirrel. Oh, it's a chipmunk. Ladies' man.
Where do you see us going?
I see us going back to my place. Outside. Forward.
You live with your parents?
Mama's boy.
Anyone kid downstairs?
I didn't get to the store, but you could go.
Something's wrong with your mom?
From Paramount Pictures.
You know, usually I don't sleep with someone on the first date.
I don't think this counts as the first date.
It would be a date if you asked me to have a drink tonight.
You met a guy today.
He's cute, too.
How cute.
Cute. He's sweet. He's funny. I don't see why he still lives at home.
Don't forget your snack.
Matthew McConaughey.
I'm in uncharted waters here, boy.
Whoa! Sarah Jessica Parker.
I got him. He is good. Let's move that.
I have an announcement to make here. We should move in together.
You want Paula to move in here? Yes.
Failure to launch. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, March 10th only in theaters.
Yeah, the movie's illusion is already kind of ruined when you expect us to believe that Matthew McConaughey is a mama's boy who lives with his parents. Matthew McConaughey. If you don't buy into that right away, then the movie has no hope of surviving. And so unfortunately, you can't buy into it right away. So as the trailer shows you, Matthew McConaughey plays a 35-year-old man who lives with his parents who shows no interest in leaving the comfortable life that he has, especially with his mother, played by Kathy Bates, having it made for him. Of course, things change when they hire Sarah Jessica Parker to be somebody to get him out of the house and hopefully out of their lives for good. And hilarity and hijinks ensue. Kind of. I don't think it is because, yeah, this is not a very good movie. Despite a stacked cast, I mean, Matthew McConaughey, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Bates, you have Zooey Deschanel, Justin Bertha, Bradley Cooper, Terry Bradshaw. I mean, there is a stacked cast in this movie that could make this material work, but yeah, the premise is just too hard to believe with a guy like Matthew McConaughey. If it was anybody else besides Matthew McConaughey, who's a handsome-looking dude, like, it's hard to buy it. And for this movie, we have to buy into it because it can't just be a normal guy, like a normal actor in general. Like, it can't be it can't be any of the people like Justin Bertha or Casey Affleck or somebody like that, somebody around that. Even Jason Biggs would have worked better. But no, it's got to be somebody like Matthew McConaughey, who was at one point named the sexiest man alive by People magazine. I mean, like, logistics of this movie went out the room really quickly, and yeah, if you're still convinced that this movie might have some life to it yet, there's a scene where Terry Bradshaw gets naked. You don't see his genitals and all that, but yeah, and like I said, maybe this could have worked if the people who were in these characters' roles would work better, but it was suitable for the role instead of somebody like Matthew McConaughey, or the comedy was funny, but none of that really works in this movie. I don't remember laughing once during this entire movie. Like, this is a bad movie, man. This is a really, really terrible movie. A movie that is not fun, not enjoyable by any means necessary. I mean, How to Lose Your Guy in 10 Days was at least trying, and it worked sort of because of the chemistry between McConaughey and Hudson, but even then, it wasn't enough for me to say it's a great movie overall. A movie I really didn't even like that much, but I at least saw more value in that than I do in something like this. I don't buy the chemistry between McConaughey and Parker whatsoever. I just don't buy this movie as a whole. It's not funny. It's not clever. It's not anything, man. It's just not a good movie. Not a good movie in my opinion, but, so moving on to the next movie, a movie that you would think would also be bad, but, this is another one of those movies that kind of surprises you in ways you could have never imagined. This is Tim Allen in the remake of The Shaggy Dog.
Mr. Douglas.
Mr. Douglas. As a lawyer, Dave Douglas has no rival.
You guys see the trial in the evening news? Great shot of your dad on Channel 8.
As a father,
Josh's teacher called. He's flunking math.
Okay, great. I'd say the same thing.
he has no clue.
You have to connect with the whole family again.
But an unlikely visitor
You're so cute.
There's a dog in the kitchen.
with an unbelievable power is about to change his life in ways he never could have imagined.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is that me? I'm not a dog. I'm clearly in a dream. Just gotta wake up. All right. I'm a dog.
Now,
Last night I turned into a dog. Then I turned back into being human.
he can't ignore it.
Objection, Your Honor. Mr. Douglas. Did you just growl at opposing counsel?
He can't control it.
How's football going?
It's been a pretty tough year.
Yeah?
But seeing the world from a new perspective
Hey, what are you doing in my daughter's bedroom?
Go fetch, boy.
I'm not your boy, and I'm not gonna go. Hey, I'll be right back.
is opening his eyes to everything he's been missing.
All my dad cares about is having a son who's a good football player.
I can't believe you think that. Got to make this better. There's nothing more important to me than family.
Honey, really a wonderful father. You know, just have a very normal lifestyle.
From Walt Disney Pictures. This spring,
No, bad doggy. I am Dad.
bingo. The whole world is going to the dogs.
The kids are trying to convince me you're a dog.
That's weird.
That is not the only thing that's weird.
No, not that. You ought to see what I'm looking at.
Tim Allen,
Oh, shit. I meant the dog.
the Shaggy Dog.
I mean, okay. Again, I know what you're thinking. I mean, that trailer just sums up mid-2000s family movie. This is like The Pacifier all over again. But like The Pacifier, this movie surprises the hell out of you at how kind of enjoyably silly it is. I mean, it's a movie that pretty much tells you right out of the gate that, yeah, it's a stupid movie. It makes no sense whatsoever. But goddamn it, we got a stacked cast in this movie who is going to be game for this. And yeah, they make this work. They really do make this work. And you know, this is, of course, based off the original Shaggy Dog movies from Disney, where the original film had a character that was transformed into an old English sheepdog after pulling on a magic ring. Where this time around, it's Tim Allen as this lawyer who is transformed into a collie after getting bitten by a dog. So they do change it up a little bit. Probably for Alone's another example too of a movie that seemed like it was bad from the get-go, but then you watch it again, it's just like, this isn't as bad as I remember. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's kind of good. Which is what I could say to this movie, too. This is a very stupid movie, but it knows it's a very stupid movie and wants you to go along for the ride. And, I mean, the stacked cast in here is pretty impressive. You know, not just Tim Allen. Robert Downey Jr., who I think really does steal the show in this movie. Like, he has to out-crazy Tim Allen when he has those animal instincts inside of him. And that's just... It leads to a lot of good, hilarious moments in here. You have Jane Curtin in there, you see as the judge. Danny Glover's in here, too. Spencer Breslin, Philip Baker Hall, Kristen Davis, Laura Keitlinger. A lot of really, really good talent in this movie. And goddamn, they're making it work. They're making it in an entertaining, enjoyable, fun ride overall. I mean, if you don't think... I mean, that scene... There's scenes in that trailer that are obviously bad. Like the scene where... Like that scene in the car with all the animals who are suddenly barking. Like, yeah, it's stupid how they set it up in the movie. It's a really bad concept in the movie, but they know it's stupid and they know they're having a ball with it. And you either just go along for the ride or you just can't take it. And when I saw it for the first time, I was just like, okay, I'll go along for the ride. And yeah, you can have a really good time watching how silly and ridiculous this movie is, because this movie does get really silly and really ridiculous almost immediately. And at certain points, you have to just look at this and go, okay, should I go along for the ride here or should I just turn it off? I went along for the ride. And I'm glad I did, because, yeah, it's a stupid movie, but a good, fun, stupid movie. This is one of the most enjoyably, over-the-top, ridiculous movies I've ever seen in my life, and yet I loved every single moment of it. I love how stupid it is. I love how silly it is. Like, yeah, it's not a good movie, and it's not going to be for everyone, but for me, I dug the hell out of it. I enjoyed this movie so much. I mean, it's goofy fun, and there's nothing wrong with a good, goofy fun movie, and this is a goofy, fun movie. I mean, the Shaggy Dog movies have always been goofy fun. I mean, there's ones where the dog is literally punching humans with his fist, like a bot is like that. Like, if you're looking for something so deep and serious with this, like if you're looking for like the Disney equivalent to an American Werewolf in London, which I don't know why you would, yeah, go take a hike somewhere else. If you know exactly what you're going into with this, you can enjoy this movie and go along for the ride. And I certainly did that as well. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. I thought it was fun. I thought it was silly. I thought it was stupid. But it's a good, fun time overall. I really enjoyed it. So. The Shaggy Dog. So let's go ahead and take a look at our last movie. Another remake, this time of a much darker movie. One of Wes Craven's earlier films. And that is Alexander Aja's remake of The Hills Have Eyes.
In 1953, one family survived a nuclear explosion. The government abandoned them. The testing changed them. But what didn't kill them only made them deadlier.
Mister, would you play with us?
The Hills Have Eyes. Theaters March 10th. Rated R.
This was Alexander Aja's follow-up to High Tension from a year before. And in this, it's essentially, like I said, a remake of the original Wes Craven movie where it follows a family that's targeted by a group of cannibalistic mutants after their car breaks down in the desert. And I can't really say anything about these movies because I've never seen the original. I've never seen these versions in general here. But from what I've heard, most people do like this remake. It's not as good as the original film, but it does take new opportunities with the original. Unlike the original, it does take new opportunities with what they have to work with here compared to the original film in general. But that's just from people that I've heard talk about it. I think there is a lot to admire from the style of the film. Even if you've never seen these movies, you can look at the grisly style of this movie. That does make you go back to something like the 1970s horror movies, or even more recently stuff like Wolf Creek and High Tension, like I said, and even The Devil's Rejects, which you can see a lot of influence in that. But other than that, though, like, I don't really know about this movie in general. I've never seen these movies in general, so I don't know if they're any good or not. But the first movie got enough of a strong following that they did make a sequel a year later, which, kind of like the original Hills Have Eyes sequel, was not as successful as that film, but we'll eventually delve into that one when we get to next year's films. But right now, that's much more I can say about For the Hills Have Eyes.
Those who are responsible will be held accountable. The time has come for you to live without fear.
I'm ready.
This country stands on the edge of oblivion.
Remember why they need us.
Kill him.
My turn.
I suddenly had this feeling that everything was connected. We're all part of it. Are we ready for it?
The only verdict is vengeance.
Remember, the 5th of November, which was originally the marketing campaign, but this movie was supposed to open up on November 4th of 2005. No joke, this was from the end of the original teaser trailer.
Remember the 5th of November.
Can't imagine why they didn't want to include it when they moved the film to March, but I digress. Viva Vendetta, this is of course set against the futuristic landscape of a totalitarian Britain, and tells the story of a mild-mannered young woman played by Natalie Portman, who's rescued from a life-and-death situation by a masked vigilante known as V, played by Hugo Weaving. Incomparably charismatic and ferociously skilled in the art of combat and deception, V ignites a revolution where he detonates 2 London landmarks and takes over the government-controlled airways, urging his fellow citizens to rise up against tyranny and oppression. As Edie uncovers the truth about V's mysterious background, she also discovers the truth about herself, and emerges as an unlikely ally in the culmination of this plot to bring freedom and justice back to a society fraught with cruelty and corruption. Clearly, something like this will never happen in real life. But all that aside, this is a pretty freaking awesome movie, man. It's a slick, solid action movie. Easily the best adaptation of an Alan Moore graphic novel. And kind of like with the history of violence, the film gets a lot more of its interesting moments from its main character, in this case, Hugo Weaving's V. And all throughout the movie, you're wondering what is up with his character. Why does he have this resentment against the government? And as the film plays out, we're invested in why he has these theories, why he's so cold and bitter, and why he so wants to help Natalie Portman out in the process. And on top, he's just a friggin' badass, man. Hugo Weaving just kills this role and plays it so well to a T. You see the ways he actually tries to save Evie when she's in peril, and you're amazed at how well he can handle these weapons and all, and just beat the shit out of everybody around him. And even Natalie Portman's character is very interesting in here. She shows that she can handle herself in these big action pictures, like that. Aside from like great dramaticals we've seen her in with Garden State and Closer, her backstory is so tragic, and throughout the entire film, you're just waiting for something good to happen to her, and it never comes. It's basically the equivalent of a gender reversal of Chiwetel Ejiofor in 12 Years a Slave. Like, it feels like it's that kind of a film in general. There's also great performances by Stephen Ray and John Hurt. The Wachowski brothers do a good job of adapting the graphic novel to the big screen. They make enough changes that work better to the film to run it more smoothly without leaving anything important or adding elements to a story that could be seen as absolutely pointless. The action sequences are top-notch, one of the best climaxes you'll ever see, and not much more to say about this movie in general, man, but I never really hear anybody complain about the film, but I do have a problem with how Alan Moore took the news that V for Vendetta was turning into a movie. He read the script, he refused to watch the movie, and he tried to distance himself from it so much that he had his name removed from all the credits of the movie. I mean, I really think Alan Moore should have at least watched it, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from Hell, you can understand him being upset with this works being turned into bad movies, but he didn't even watch V for Vendetta. And I think that if he'd watched the film, he probably would have liked it, because it does stay very true to the original source material. Even if he doesn't like it, he would have at least had to admit that it stays true to the original source material compared to other adaptations. But, of course, Watchmen comes out after this, and he's not going to have good things to say about that one either. But then again, he might have a point on that one. But bottom line here, there's really nothing else more I can say about V for Vendetta that hasn't already been said. It's a great film that stays very close to the source material, has a great cast, a lot of good action, surprisingly good amount of drama to it, good script, great direction. It's just an incredible movie. I can't recommend it enough. V for Vendetta, a classic, classic film. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Amanda Bynes starring in She's the Man.
Going undercover.
You want me to turn you into your brother?
At a school where the students are hot.
Girls with butts like mine do not talk to boys with faces like yours.
The teachers are not.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
And everyone's got something to hide.
Male-female dynamics, all part of the high school experience.
Oh, great. Ow! Oh, for the love of God!
She's the Man.
I'm so very sincere.
Rated PG-13, March 17th.
Like I said, it's basically just a modern version of Just One of the Guys, that 80s movie that came out back in the day with pretty much the same concept here. You have Amanda Bynes starring as a teenager who enters her brother's new boarding school in his place and pretends to be a boy in order to play on the boys' soccer team. Of course, this is based off of William Shakespeare's play Twelfth Night, and also features a cast that includes Channing Tatum, Vinnie Jones, David Cross, Laura Ramsey, and this is a film that works mostly because of Amanda Bynes, and it's just another one of those movies where it's just like, she's so good in this movie, and just to see how her career took a massive nosedive not too long after this, it's just like, what happened to you, man? Like what happened to you, Amanda? You used to have a bright future ahead of you, and then you just kind of fell off completely, and it's just like, it's a shame, because movies like this just make you realize the true potential this chick had back in the day. She looked like she was on her way to having a great career, and then all of a sudden it just came crashing down, and just nothing that she's been able to do since then has been able to make her come back from it, especially considering all the things that was going on behind the scenes with her. But this is a good film. It works mostly because of her, but there's a strong cast overall that makes this work. It does feel like a watered-down version of Just One of the Guys, which at least I give that one more credit because it had more of an edge to it and what they were able to do with it. Obviously having a scene where the main girl in that movie has to reveal her shirt to realize to reveal that she's been taping up her boobs to act like she's a boy. This movie unfortunately does not have that same kind of caliber, But I mean, this movie works well for what it is. It's not a great movie by any means necessary, but it's a good, fun movie regardless. I think it works mostly because of the performances, especially Amanda Bynes. Plus, the concept overall is very good. And like I said, it's not a great movie overall, but I got more than enough laughs from it to recommend. I think it is a fun film for what it is. So yeah, it's worth a watch just because of that. She's the man. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie. Vin Diesel tackling a dramatic role, a rare dramatic role for him nowadays, in Find Me Guilty.
You want to suck on this instead of... You feel that the prosecutor was right.
You swing at him in this courthouse, this case is over.
Don't take it out on my friends here.
We're gonna go traveling and have us a fling.
I mean, to the movie's credit, Vin Diesel is the best thing about the film in general. The movie itself, not so much. This is based off the true story of the longest mafia trial in American history. Much of the courtroom testimony taken from the original court transcripts, and you have Vin Diesel starring as a New Jersey mobster who was on the trial for 19 of his colleagues for racketeering. A wrench is thrown into the system when Vin Diesel's character fires his lawyer and decides to represent himself. And you also have Peter Dinklage, Linus Roche, Alex Rocco, Ron Silver, Annabelle Sciorra among the cast. Directed by Sidney Lumet, and I don't know, to me, like I said, Vin Diesel, I think, does carry the film overall to the point where it is a really good performance by Vin Diesel, and something that's very different compared to what we're used to seeing from him in general. But the film itself, overall, there's nothing really about it that makes it all that special or all that amazing. It's just kind of there. There's just nothing about it there that makes it anything unique or different. But the one thing that does hold it together, I think, at least to say it's watchable, is to see Vin Diesel doing something radically different outside of his norm. And other than that, though, that's pretty much all I can say about the movie. It's not that great of a film. It's a shame because the pieces are there for something interesting, but the film itself just can't work around the Vin Diesel performance enough to say that it's something that should be seen. And other than that, though, it's just kind of like, it's fine, I guess. Like, if you want to see Vin Diesel in something that's very outside of his normal characters he plays, watch it for that, but you're not going to want to watch it again after the first time watching it. I mean, for what it is, it's fine for what it is, but I really wanted to see more from it, honestly. So that is Find Me Guilty, but let's go ahead and get to probably the best overall film of the week, one of my favorite movies of all time, and that is Jason Reitman's Thank You for Smoking.
I don't have an MD or law degree. I have a bachelor's in kicking butt and taking names. I get paid to talk.
What do you talk about?
I speak on behalf of cigarettes.
My mom says cigarettes kill.
Now, is your mom the doctor?
No.
Well, she doesn't exactly sound like a credible expert now, does she? Yeah, we call ourselves the Mod Squad. MOD, Merchants of Death. We're lobbyists for the tobacco, alcohol, and firearms industries. How many alcohol-related deaths a year?
Well, is that
100,000? That's what, 270 a day? Tragedy. I front an organization that kills 1,200 people a day.
Dad, I want to see what you do.
The message Hollywood needs to send out is smoking is cool. You can put the sex back into cigarettes.
Get a flight to L.A., I'll get you a meeting with Hollywood super agent Jeff McGowan.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring your dad in now. Is there anything I can get you, like an orange juice or a coffee or a Red Bull? No thanks. Okay.
But what we need is a smoking role model, a real winner.
Indiana Jones meets Jerry Maguire.
Right, on 2 packs a day.
This spring, don't hide the truth.
We don't sell Tic Tacs, we sell cigarettes. And they're cool, available, and addictive. The job is almost done for us.
Just filter it.
The #1 killer in America is cholesterol. And here comes Senator Finister, who's clogging the nation's arteries with Vermont cheddar cheese. The great state of Vermont will not apologize for its cheese.
What happens when you're wrong?
See, Joey, that's the beauty of argument. Because if you argue correctly, you're never wrong.
This is a heated issue. Nick, do you have a question?
How on earth would Big Tobacco profit off of the loss of this young man? It's in our best interest to keep Robin alive and smoking. Have you heard of a reporter named
Heather Holloway. My other interviews have pinned you as a mass murderer, bloodsucker, pimp, profiteer, and my personal favorite, Guilty Mephistopheles.
I'm a man of the people.
Rock on, Kennedy. Family now. Tobacco takes care of its own.
Michael Jordan plays ball. Charles Manson kills people. I talk.
Thank you for smoking.
Sony has a futuristic sci-fi movie they're looking to make.
Cigarettes in space.
It's the final frontier, Nick.
But wouldn't they blow up in an all-oxygen environment?
Probably. But
It's an easy fix. One line of dialogue. Thank God we invented the, whatever device.
I mean, Hollywood in the nutshell right there, that last line from Rob Lowe. Thank God for the whatever device. Like, that's Quid and MacGuffin, that type of thing. But thank you for smoking. This is the directorial debut for Jason Reitman, who, of course, is the son of Ivan Reitman, starring Aaron Eckhart as a big tobacco chief spokesman who lobbies on behalf of cigarettes using heavy spin tactics while also trying to remain a role model for his 12-year-old son. You've got a stacked cast that includes Maria Bello, Adam Brody, Sam Elliott, Katie Holmes, David Koechner, Rob Lowe, William H. Macy, J.K. Simmons, Robert Duvall, and a really, really interesting movie when you really look at it, because the main hero of the film can also be seen as the bad guy in here. You have a guy here that's trying to sell people cigarettes, and we know now that cigarettes have all these negative side effects to it. But you need a guy like Aaron Eckhart's character to give you these buzzwords to use to sell these products to people that you would never think you'd be able to sell them to. And the movie does a very good job of creating a character that knows what he's doing is probably not a good thing in terms of long-term health, but he also has to know that how to be a role model to his son, played by Cameron Bright. And this movie has a lot of interesting turning points throughout the course of the movie. There's actually an alternate ending where, if they went with it, Aaron Eckhart's character would have gone completely against everything that he had been beforehand. And I'm kind of glad they got rid of that scene in general here. And it's just it just feels so out of character in here, because what makes this movie great is Aaron Eckhart is so confident in what he's saying. He's so believable in what he's trying to tell people, to the point where William H. Macy, there's a point towards the end of the movie where, there's a big thing where, he's talking about, if your son wanted a cigarette, what would you say to him? And Aaron Eckhart gives this impassioned speech at the end about it. William H. Macy is telling him, what if he turns 18 and he wants a cigarette? Are you going to buy him that? And Aaron Eckhart's just if he wants a cigarette, I will buy him his first pack. He is so impassionate with what he's doing and trying to convince everybody that smoking is actually okay. And I think it's such an incredible, unique spin on a character like this that we really don't usually see, especially with a guy with the background that he has here. And you got to give the movie a lot of credit for doing that with a character like this, and that's the beauty of what Jason Reitman does. He makes these movies that are not just movies that are being made because he's a nepo baby. Of course he's the son of Ivan Reitman. I mean, just recently I saw his latest film, Saturday Night. This guy is such a great director because he doesn't just make blockbuster comedies like his dad did. He'll go in there every once in a while, like Ghostbusters Afterlife, for example, but he makes these smaller movies, and they're just so unique in how they're handled, how he films them, how he writes them. It's just that's what this really take away from this movie: the brilliance of what Jason Reitman brings to the table. And this is a movie that does show everything that what makes Jason Reitman so special, and somebody so unique for the time period. And of course, he would follow it up with Juno. He followed it up with Up in the Air. He really is one of the best directors we have right now, and it started with this movie right here. Not much more I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's a fantastic film. One of my favorite movies of all time, from one of my favorite directors of all time. Thank you for smoking. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. So yeah, a radically different movie than we're used to seeing from Spike Lee. You have Denzel Washington starring as Detective Keith Frazier, the NYPD's hostage negotiator, and you have Clive Owen as Dalton Russell, the mastermind who orchestrates the heist, and Jodie Foster as Madeline White, a Manhattan fixer who becomes involved at the request of the bank's founder, played by Christopher Plummer, to keep something in his safe deposit box protected from the robbers. And yeah, this is more of a mainstream film than we're used to seeing from Lee. Usually he does these more you can tell more about these projects that he does that feel more like stuff that he's personal about, personal projects in particular. But this is the first film that really feels like he's taking on something that's from somebody else's material. Because this was originally supposed to go into the hands of Ron Howard, who actually dropped out of the film to do another film that's coming out later in the year, The Da Vinci Code. And so they eventually went to Lee in particular, and it's a very weird, odd movie in the sense that it doesn't feel like a Spike Lee movie, but in a way it feels like one of Spike Lee's better movies. I mean, this is one of his stronger movies coming from the latter half of his career. I mean, this is a fantastic heist film, and it helps you have a great cast. It includes Washington, Owen, Foster Plummer, Willem Dafoe's in here as well, Chiwetel Ejiofor. The tension is very good too. It's a really interesting, cool, slick, stylistic heist film that really doesn't take the roads that you think it would go down. And it's very interesting how the story plays itself out very well here. This writer, Russell Gurwitz, I think this is actually his first script he ever wrote. He actually spent 5 years developing the premise before working on the script in general. And for a first-time writer, this is a pretty good way to begin your career. I mean, it's a really entertaining film, a movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next. It has a really great twist towards the end that you really don't see coming at all. I mean, this is a really, really damn good movie. One that's very entertaining all around, working with a solid cast overall. It's a great movie, man. I can't recommend this one enough. There isn't much more to say about this film, and it really, honestly, hasn't already been said already. But Inside Man, it's a pretty damn good movie. I highly recommend checking it out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the horror film Stay Alive.
The name of this game is Stay Alive.
There are 100 million gamers in America.
Boot it up! You guys feel that? Hell yeah.
But there's only one game.
Damn, I mean, she got me. Some woman, man. Hey, somebody out there?
They're all dying to play.
Miller died the same way he died in the game. Don't you get it? If you die in the game, you die for real.
Stay Alive. PG-13 starts March 24th.
Clearly made by somebody who was sick and tired of everybody laughing at them for saying that video games causes people to kill people. So they said, I'm going to write a movie where a video game literally kills people. And thus, essentially, we've got the plot for this movie here. You have Loomis Crowley, who's testing the underground game Staying Alive with his friends Sarah and Rex. When the game is over, Loomis finds Rex and Sarah dead in their rooms, and he's pushed by a shadow from the staircase, breaking the banister and hanging the same way he died in the game. Loomis' sister Emma gives his game to his best friend Hutch, and they and his friends Miller, Phineas, and his sister October, Swink, and Abigail play the game together. When Miller and Phineas died the same way they died in the game, the survivors disclose that the game is based on the lives of the evil Countess Elizabeth Bathory. She was buried alive in the tower of a real estate in the Gerongi plantation. When the police chasing them, and after their death of October, the survivors reach the house and try to find the corpse of the Countess to destroy her fiend. A really cool premise overall, like a movie where a literal video game can come and kill you. And yeah, it's a good premise overall, but unfortunately, the film falls into exactly what you think it's going to fall into. It falls into the traps of a typical horror movie where the characters are really stupid and really are not being smart about this whole thing whatsoever. And of course, they have to suffer the consequences for it. And it would help if this director who did this made better movies and maybe showed signs of a potential future that he had. But nope, this is the same director that gave us the classics, The Devil Inside, Brahms, The Boy 2, as well as The First Boy, Orphan First Kill. So yeah, that's pretty much a sign that this is not going to be a good movie right off the bat. And what's really weird about this movie is that this is actually the first film released by Hollywood Pictures, who actually fell out of the studio scene 5 years prior to this, and I guess this was kind of their start to like relaunch this as kind of like the new Rogue Pictures, like at Universal. But of course, that didn't work out so well. The movie wasn't a big hit in general in terms of the box office, but it did eventually go on to have a cult following, mostly because I think the premise still is a really cool idea. It's a really cool idea, just a bad execution overall. It falls into typical territory that we've seen with stories like this. You really do expect a whole lot more from it, but unfortunately with this director, you ain't getting anything like that, unfortunately. So, yeah, needless to say, this is a hard skip. Just like our last movie, which is one I've been dreading to talk about for a while now, but it has an interesting history in my life. Let's talk about Larry the Cable Guy, Health Inspector.
I'm going to feed you a kid ride. Hot damn!
Come on, Sharon. Hook a brother up, lad.
Come on, sir.
You defiled and violated
violated the very citizens you've sworn to protect.
Now that sounded dirty.
Larry the Cable Guy, health inspector.
You're gonna believe this, but there's a snow cone vendor out there not wearing a bra.
Is that a violation?
No, but it makes me want to get a snow cone.
So yeah, I've been hyping this one up for a little bit because this was one of my biggest earlier reviewing regrets back in the day. The story, of course, is that you have Larry the Cable Guy starring as a municipal restaurant health inspector, because if I want to hire if I need a health inspector, it needs to be Larry the Cable Guy. Am I right or am I right? But anyway, he's assigned a new rookie partner after recklessly closing restaurants for code violations by his boss, played by Tom Wilson. Together, Larry and his new partner, Amy, must work to solve a series of food poisonings at 4-star restaurants. So this came and went. And I liked a little bit of blue-collar comedy, but I liked the blue-collar comedy tour movie. I watched the show on the WB, and I thought Larry the Cable Guy was an entertaining person, so naturally I was kind of interested to see this film, and I came out enjoying it. And then when I did my review on talking about the movies in high school, I said something that I completely regret now, 20 years later, and I can't believe I'm going to repeat this again, but I liken this movie to, of all things, the Naked Gun movies. Just even thinking that again and saying that again right now just made me... I'm embarrassed that I said that. I'm really embarrassed that I said this was up there with the Naked Gun movies. I mean, the Naked Gun movies are my favorite comedies of all time. I mean, I should have known better back then. I was 17 years old. I mean, like... I should know by now. I should know by that point that I shouldn't have said that, but I said it, and every day since that review, I've immediately regretted ever saying that about the movie. And not to say that the movie, I didn't hate the movie. I didn't like the movie. I liked it. I thought it was fine for what it was back then, but ever since it came out on DVD, I very rarely watched it, and getting ready to rewatch it again for this particular show, I'll say it. Maybe it's definitely not as good as I remember it. It certainly is no Naked Gun, and yeah, and I think it's pretty obvious why this movie is not that good, because it's just not that funny. It's not that engaging. There's nothing really about it that really works. But to its credit, it's probably the best movie with Larry the Cable Guy in the leading role of the comedies that he did, because of course this started the trend of different comedies with Larry the Cable Guy making movies after this with Lionsgate. But and I said leading roles because like I'm not including Cars because it's more of a supporting role in general here. And you know, to his credit, that movie those movies do work better for Larry the Cable Guy's character and persona in general. But these movies these comedies, not so much. They're about as generic. They're about as bland of comedies as you can get. They're not really all that funny. They waste a lot of really good talent in this movie. I mean, like I said, Tom Wilson's in here. You have Megan Price, Lisa Lampanelli, David Koechner, Joanna Cassidy, Joe Pantoliano, Tony Hale, Brooke Dillman. I mean, there's a really good cast in this movie. But unfortunately, the movie really isn't all that funny or clever. Even for the target audience of the blue-collar comedy tour, I think they deserve a lot better than this. I think there's a lot better comedies that they could really enjoy with Larry the Cable Guy in them. But like I said before, this is probably the best of the bunch. But even then, it's not really saying a whole lot, because when you have to compare it to stuff like Delta Force and Witless Protection, that's like saying that Date Movie is the best movie by Freeberg and Seltzer. But then again, have you seen all the spoof movies that came out after those movies? Yeah, of course it's going to be the best movie from Larry the Cable Guy. This movie is, but one of my biggest review regrets of all time was saying that this movie was on the scale of the Naked Gun movies. I still get Vietnam flashbacks of the day I said it, thinking back then that maybe what I'm saying is pretty fucking stupid, because yeah, I'm saying it now. What I said back then was pretty fucking stupid, but now as I've gotten older, I realized that again, what I said was pretty fucking stupid back in the day. But this is not a good movie. It's not a bad movie either. It's passable. It's just nothing that really is that spectacular or grand. But if you go into it with the right mindset, knowing what kind of a movie it is, I think you can go into it and enjoy it for what it is. I mean, if you're a fan of Larry the Cable Guy, I think this is the best overall movie he's in. But again, that's really not saying a whole lot. In the leading role, I should say. Not the best overall film in general. But, yeah, that's Larry the Cable Guy Health Inspector for you.
This spring, Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, and Queen Latifah. Huh?
Diego, retract the clause, please.
Oh, right. Sorry.
You know, if I didn't know you better, Diego, I'd think you were afraid of the water. Okay, good thing I know you better.
Ice Age 2, The Meltdown.
Trailer gives you kind of an idea of what the story for this movie is. You have the Herd once again with Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, and Dennis Leary. They're heading away from this area where it's going to flood, and the flood is supposed to destroy the end of the world pretty much. And during their adventure, Manny finds love in another mammoth played by Queen Latifah, who thinks she's a possum because she hangs around with these other possums who basically they found her when she was abandoned, and so she eventually she thinks that she's a possum the whole time. And the two possums in this movie are played by Sean William Scott and Josh Peck. And well, this one doesn't have certainly a lot of the same elements that made the first Ice Age a good movie. It really does work mostly because I think the comedy is a lot better. You can definitely tell that the animation overall got a much bigger upgrade, especially considering after what the Blue Sky Studios had done with robots. The visuals are still impressive to look at. There is much more of an epic storyline here, and they make for a really good and engaging sequel where you have a lot of really fun new characters in the fold here, especially with Queen Latifah and Sean William Scott and Josh Peck as the possums. Scrat is always going to be very fun overall. It's not quite as good as the original film, but I still really enjoyed it a lot. And if I'm being quite honest with you, I saw this movie in theaters multiple times. Not because of the movie itself, but because this was playing in front of Ice Age: The Meltdown.
In 2007, leaping his way onto the silver screen, the greatest hero in American history.
I forgot what I was supposed to say.
The Simpsons movie, opening worldwide, July 27th, 2007.
Oh, we better get started.
Excellent.
Yeah, I literally went to go see this movie 3 times just to see the Simpsons movie trailer on the big screen, just to know that this is actually happening now. They've been talking about doing a Simpsons movie for years, but that trailer, seeing it up on the big screen, made it worth it every single time I went to that movie, because I went to see a good movie, but it was worth it just to see that trailer. Kind of like how the only reason I went to see Ice Age Continental Drift was to see the Maggie Simpson show, which is easily the best thing about that movie, because the Ice Age Continental Drift is not a good movie by any means necessary, but again, we will save the Simpsons talk for when the Simpsons movie comes out the next summer, but overall, this is still a good movie, not a great one, but I still like it. Ice Age: The Meltdown. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is ATL.
But I'll figure out what y'all gonna do.
In the ATL.
I've been saving this for 3 years.
For what?
Say we can get out of here.
They all wanted one thing.
You want to work, right? Okay, we're gonna see. You ain't gotta be a dope boy to have money.
They wanted more.
I'm gonna make it, and I won't forget where I come from. I just want you to recognize the difference between what you feel and what's real.
You just gonna ruin your life for a few dollars? ATL.
ATL, of course, standing for Atlanta, Georgia, which is where this movie takes place in. It's a coming-of-age drama where you have a man by the name of Rashad, played by T.I. in this movie, in his film debut, and his friends in his final year of high school, on the verge of adulthood. And you also have Antoine Andre Patton, also known as Big Boy, of the group Outkast, Evan Ross, Jackie Long, Jason Weaver, Lauren London, Nicolette Williamson, Keith David, yeah, this is a coming-of-age story, very similar to something like Roll Bounce in general, but I'll be honest with you, this is one I never really got around to seeing. I mean, I don't know if it was good or not, but It did get decent reviews overall, and it was considered a hit overall. It did only had like a small budget of $7 million and made 3 times that, but it did go on to have this cult following among it. And this director, Chris Robinson, has directed a number of different music videos. The most recent thing he directed was the LeBron James movie Shooting Stars, which came out on Peacock last year. But other than that, though, there's really not much more I can say about the film because I haven't seen it. I knew it was out at the time. I just really had no keen interest in seeing it per se, but I've heard some good things about it overall. So it might be one I might check out one day, but I'm really not in any hurry, in any way, shape, or form, to actually give it a shot, honestly. But maybe one day I'll get to see it. But yeah, not much more to say about that one. That's ATL. So let's go ahead and get back to a movie that I have seen, and that is James Gunn's Slither.
Throughout the years, these classic horror films had one thing in common. From Universal Pictures comes a film so shocking.
We've got a real problem here.
So disgusting.
Don't let him in your mouth!
It will change the face of horror.
They're doing things to people, turning them into some kind of monsters.
How's everybody's evening? Good? Good.
Something's wrong with me.
Slither.
Have you ever seen anything like that? Me neither. I watch Animal Planet all the time.
This is the type of movie that I think something like Eight-Legged Freaks was supposed to be like, but this movie I think does it a whole lot better, mostly because of what James Gunn brings to the table. And the trailer again once again gives you an indication of what the movie's about. You have a small town in South Carolina that becomes invaded by a malevolent alien parasite, and this is a story we've seen done to death so many times in horror movies. This is basically kind of the equivalent to The Blob in a way, but it knows that, and it knows how unique and how gritty it has to be to really stand out in general here. And I think this movie works incredibly well. This shows you what James Gunn is capable of doing as a filmmaker as a whole, and what he would later bring to the table with some of his movies he would make later on down the road, like Super and, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Suicide Squad. But this movie just works, man. This is a fun, silly, over-the-top movie with a strong cast that includes Nathan Fillion, Elizabeth Banks, Jenna Fisher, Michael Rooker. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal cast. Some really good effects for the small budget that the movie had in general. I mean, it's a B movie in the best possible way. It reminds me so much of, like, Tremors in a way. Like, it knows it's a low-budget movie. It knows how silly it is. It knows how ridiculous it is. But are you having a good time with it? Then we've completed our mission. We know exactly what we need to do to entertain you, and this film does that and more. Not much more to really say about this one either, man. This is a really, really fun movie, man. I enjoy this one a lot. It does give you an idea of what James Gunn as a filmmaker has the potential to do down the road, proving that the Scooby-Doo movies were essentially a fluke to his true talents overall. But this is a fantastic movie. I can't recommend it enough. Slither, must-watch film. Not so much our next movie, which I've made this kind of a running joke on Movie Stop as that one movie that will never leave Barnes & Noble whatsoever, because who in their right mind would want to watch Basic Instinct 2 multiple times on physical media? Because after I've seen it, it's hard to watch even the first time around.
Prince, we're all over the crime scene.
We haven't got a case, Roy.
Well, just make one. We ordered a psychiatrist to say she's a danger. We gotta make sure we get somebody good and tough.
Dr. Glass, this is Catherine. No?
So is this what we're gonna do?
I see you're a writer. What do you write about?
Oh, the sexual, the violent, the basic instincts.
Sorry, not allowed to smoke in here.
What I like about you, you enjoy being in control. Like me.
I'm not the one who's on trial for murder.
Not yet. Do I make you uncomfortable?
Careful, Michael. She's trying to seduce you.
Did you kill her?
If I said I didn't, would you believe me?
Everything that comes out of her mouth's a lie, even the truth's a lie.
What exactly do you want?
I wanted it from the first moment I saw you, and you did too. How do you picture it, Doctor?
I believe Mr. Mel's behavior is driven by what we might call a risk addiction.
I suspect the only limit for her would be her own death.
The judge let her go.
I'll make you a bet.
She'll do it again.
What are you doing here?
What you said about me being addicted to risk, isn't that what turns you on?
Oh my god, we get it! You like to fuck a lot! That's literally what the whole trailer is, and that's what the whole movie is! Like, the original Basic Instinct is still the best erotic thriller of all time because it has a good, engaging mystery to it. It has an engaging concept to it. This is an example of what happens when you take one of the few bright spots in a really bad genre and completely just ruin it for the namesake. Because, let me tell you something, this movie is absolutely horrible. I've never talked about this movie in full. It's been a running gag, like I said, on Movie Stop. Every time I go up to Barnes & Noble and I see it in the store, and I would say, oh, nobody's going to buy it. Well, I'm going to tell you why nobody's going to buy it, because the movie is absolute garbage. You have a novelist and suspected serial killer Catherine Trammell, once again played by Sharon Stone, who's once again in trouble with the authorities, this time in London. Now, Scotland Yard appoints psychiatrist Dr. Michael Glass, played by David Morrissey, to evaluate her. As with SFPD detective Nick Curran in the first film, Dr. Glass becomes a victim of Trammell's psychological manipulation. And as you see in the rest of the trailer there, her manipulation is, she is, like I said before, she wants to fuck a lot. I mean, that's literally the whole movie, and it's not even hiding it this time around. Like, that scene where she's slinking down in the chair in front of her with the legs crossed to the side, it's just like, there's a whole lot of that in the movie, just throwing it in your face. Have you gotten the point yet? Have you gotten the point yet? Do you know what the twist is going to be? Like, is this annoying you right now? Because let me tell you something. That's the whole movie. That's the entire movie. And the worst part about it is, the mystery in here is absolutely awful. Like, you don't even need to know where this movie's going to go to know exactly where you think it's going to go. If you think you have an idea of what's going to happen, it happens in the movie, and it's not done well at all. This is a movie that Sharon Stone made because this is 2006. Everyone's kind of tired of her. She made one bad movie after another after 1995, and then like her career just completely fell off the radar. After that one time she was nominated for an Oscar for Casino, that career took a huge nosedive almost immediately because she just started picking one bad movie after another, and this was a last-ditch effort to save whatever was left of her career at the time. And the movie that we have here is one of the most blandest, most uninspiring, most uncomfortable, most unnerving movies of erotic thrillers you will ever see. There is nothing sexy about this movie. There's nothing engaging about this movie whatsoever. This movie was made specifically because of money. Because the first film was such a classic movie in 1992, nonetheless. Like, if you wanted to make this movie in, I don't know, 94, 95, just a couple years after the original film, it probably would have worked better back then, but this is 2006. This is 14 years after the genre that this movie started fell off a crater because everyone was doing the exact same thing that Basic Instinct was doing. Hell, Sharon Stone was even in some of these knockoff Basic Instinct movies, like Sliver, the Sylvester Stallone one, The Specialist. There's a couple of other. There's another one too I'm thinking of, but those were the two big ones, Sliver and The Specialist. I can't think of the third one, but yeah, this movie is bad. This is a horrible, horrible movie that has no reason to exist except because of the name, Basic Instinct. Now, to this movie's credit, the only thing that this movie did that was salvageable and made it worth it was the fact that this was my first time ever seeing Basic Instinct. I wanted to see and it was because I had it came in a 2-pack when I saw Basic Instinct 2 in there. It's just like, oh, Basic Instinct is in there, the original. I've heard it's a great movie. Might as well go check it out. And yeah, the original Basic Instinct is still pretty awesome. The sequel is absolutely horrible. Like, this is up there with some of the worst sequels ever made. And now you know why I always say that that Blu-ray at Barnes & Noble will never ever go away. No matter how hard you try to push it out there. No matter how much it is to buy, nobody is going to buy Basic Instinct 2. You'd be better off finding any other bad movie in that movie section, and Basic Instinct 2 will be there. Even if Barnes & Noble one day decides to get rid of all physical media, that one copy of Basic Instinct 2 will be there for the remainder of that time the store's open, because nobody is going to buy it. Ever. So yeah, do I need to say more about this movie? Basic Instinct 2 fucking sucks. Plain and simple. So, yeah, we've talked about a really bad movie. Let's end the show on a much more positive note. Let me introduce you to the introduction of Rian Johnson with his neo-noir thriller that is Brick.
If I get to the bottom, whatever this is.
What do you want?
Just to see you sweat. It's too hot.
You got discipline issue with me? Write me up or suspend me.
I see that you're trying to help her. And I don't know anybody who would do that for me.
You are dangerous. I set out to know and put her on the spot. And put her in front of the gun. There's not much chance of coming out clean.
And thus begins the career of one of the few directors who has never made a bad movie. Suck it, Star Wars fans. Last Jedi, an awesome movie. But we'll save that for another day. But this is Brick. And the film centers around a hard-boiled detective story set in a California suburb. Most of the main characters are high school students. The film draws heavily on plot, characterization, and dialogue from hard-boiled classics, especially those by Dashiell Hammett. The title refers to a block of heroin compromised roughly to the size and shape of a brick. And you have a cast that includes Joseph Gordon-Levitt, one of his early film roles after leaving Third Rock from the Sun, Megan Good, Emily DeRaven from Lost, Richard Roundtree, Lucas Haas. A lot of talent overall in this film, and just a prime example of what Rian Johnson brings to the table as a director as a whole. This is a really good movie. This is a film that just shows you what this guy is capable of, and what we'll eventually see from him down the road with the movies that he'll have afterwards. But this is a film that is such a really cool, stylistic, neo-noir mystery thriller. This is the movie that Basic Instinct 2 wishes it could have been, because it's an engaging mystery, the thrilling aspects are there, the chilled and tension factors are in the film, and you really have no idea where the story is going to end up going overall. This feels like a modern version of classic mystery stories, detective stories, like not just Dashiell Hammett, but also stuff like Sam Spade. Like, this is like a Sam Spade or Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer story told in a modern setting. Like, I think that's really what makes this movie so unique and so cool at the same time. Just a phenomenal film. I can't recommend this one enough. If you love some of Rian Johnson's other works, like Knives Out or Glass Onion, or even Star Wars The Last Jedi, like, this is the movie you have to see. This is the movie that started it all. And rightfully so, because this shows a guy that, like I said, has never made a bad movie before. And this is definitely one of the reasons why he struck out right out of the gate. Because he creates such an engaging mystery thriller in this that just works so well. What more can I say, man? Brick is a fantastic film, a must-watch film. Can't recommend it enough.